One. I'm not showing up. Of course I'm not. Let's turn me on. I'm showing up. All right.
Great
Hey everyone, we're live. Thanks. Great. Adjustments on the fly. Oh no. That's still a little off. I'll adjust that on the fly while we speak. All right, everyone. Hi, welcome. Welcome to this week's Discussing Tabletop for May 20th, 2017. It is our, let's see here, 29th of this episode. Discussing Tabletop for May 20th. Why is my Twitch not muted? Of course it's not.
That feel when everything goes wrong.
Oh my god.
Broadcaster life.
I'm fixing it, Ollie. I'm fixing it, Ollie. I'll do the introduction and try to fix it at the same time because guess what? I have to do it on the fly.
We're a little big and small.
Yes, my head is like giant in the window at the moment.
Okay, the reason being.
Okay, I was like, I don't know. I'm not watching the broadcast. I never watched the broadcast, so I didn't know what he meant by that.
You're the only one, Joe, that for some reason, whenever I get your camera image, it's in a different shape from everybody's else.
No, he's a different. I asked that. I was like, why is your camera in a different aspect ratio? And then he just didn't answer me.
Oh,
he was like,
I didn't know you were talking to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, your camera's
I
always
said,
been.
Joe, why is your camera in a different aspect ratio?
Yeah, it's always
I was
been
talking
in.
to the other Joe.
It's been in a different.
The one that has a Twitter.
Yes, the one that has a Twitter.
Oh.
I just messing.
I'm not a twit. I'm sorry.
Well, on the fly adjustments, go. All right, now what was I talking about before technical issues interrupted me? All right, yes, this week's episode.
Let's pretend that didn't happen. Magic.
Oh. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop, everyone. Guess what? We're going to talk a lot of things about tabletop. We have a good number of guests with us this week. We, of course, have my normal partner in crime, Joe, is always here as usual. This week, we, though, have Andrew at Catwood Publishing and Maggie at Margaret Crone. And hopefully a little later, we'll have Scott at Daleric, and I will have to once again adjust on the fly the video, but when he shows up, hopefully, we can just do that easily. Anyway... So
Until then, we can talk smack.
Actually, I'm always up for that. I mean, well, we do have a lot. Yes, it's fine. We like him. It's fine. We can be nice.
I have to like him. He's my dungeon master.
Oh.
See,
I'm just kidding. He's awesome. He's a cool dude.
Yeah, but we got a couple of topics I want to talk about. I do want to talk a little bit about the Pathfinder Adventurer's Guide, which seems cool, but it also seems a little redundant. I mean, you're an adventurer
I was
anyway.
like, it's like basically a reprint with a slight rule adjustments. But it does have like a new area, right? The or more lore about the Galorian area.
Yeah, Galarian. Yeah, which I always like.
So I think it's good if you're looking for. If you're kind of new or you don't have a lot of supplements or books or anything like that, I think it's a great asset. But like if you have all the books, there's really you don't need to buy that.
Yeah, so we'll have a good discussion on that. I do want to talk about Through the Breach RPG, which they have their version. Okay, they call it a Penny Dreadful, but they call it after the old British term Penny Dreadful, and they have that for their like one-shot adventures. And
they have a bunch of books. I saw. I never played them, but it looks really cool, and I love Penny Dreadful. So
yeah, and it's based on using not dice, but a deck of cards.
Interesting.
So, I know.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about Ghost Loves Candy because it's the cutest little card game. I like it because it's your play as ghosts trying to steal candy from kids at Halloween.
Nice.
Then I do want to talk a little bit about a couple other topics. I want to talk about, of course, since Maggie here oftentimes dresses up her characters on stream, I want to talk a little bit about that kind of aspect of things. Both Maggie and Scott have used Roll20, so I do want to talk a little bit about using Roll20 as both a player and a dungeon master, as we've mentioned it here on the show, but we never really talked about it. And then I do want to dive into, because Andrew here has run a successful Kickstarter for a tabletop game, so I do want to talk a little bit about that too, and his experience with it. Because a lot of tabletop games end up on Kickstarter nowadays. Both RPG supplements, board games, card games, a lot of them end up there. So it should be an interesting topic to discuss with going over that one. Well, let's of course start with, as Maggie was letting us know about, the Pathfinder Adventurers Guide.
Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine.
I thought we were talking.
No, it's a passion that I like too. So the thing is, like, yeah, it helps you a lot with introducing you to Galarian, and there's a lot of books that tell you about Galarian overall. So I mean, if you're using the campaign setting, which we were talking about using campaign settings a little bit last week, with I
never do this.
Matt's.
I never use the campaign settings from the books. I always like making up my own, so I'm not this person. I feel like, which is really interesting to me because I don't know a lot of DMs who are like that. I think it's something that, I find it's something that like newer DMs do who like aren't ready to take the commitment of like creating their own world. But I feel like this is if you are interested in the Galarian stuff, it does have like themed archetypes and prestige classes and things like that are really neat. So that aspect of it. So if you're looking for something extra and additional to like change your character up and you know you're going to be playing in that theme, I think like that's great. But I don't know.
Yeah, I know,
or if you're a hoarder. Some people just need every book. So
yeah. Oh man. I've known people like that too. The thing is also, like, for me, I've used both campaign settings and my own. I kind of feel like it's how much time I have when I'm using whatever adventure I'm doing. There are times which I have a lot of extra time to work on stuff.
I make the time. I just don't sleep.
My problem nowadays is I've gotten old and I tend to just fall asleep at random times when I'm not wanting to, so that's my problem nowadays. I would like sleep, but it comes to me at the times I don't want it to.
Yeah, I feel you.
I know, like, Scott tends to use his own one, and Andrew, you published your own world setting.
Yeah, I've built this one that has 9 continents. The first 2 continents have setting books on drive-through, and yeah, it's doing really well. We in our group, our Sunday night group, we alternate. So 1 month we play in this new world I created, World of Mir, and then the next month we do Greyhawk, and then we go back and forth. And then once in a while, for a break, one of the players DMs a couple of nights. Usually something in the Forgotten Realms. So we try to kind of explore a bunch of things, but yeah, I love world building more than anything.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know that Delric, he knows a lot about the different book themes and things like that. So I don't know. I have always, as a DM, made my own world.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to have to adhere to somebody else's rules.
Yeah, same here.
I'll make my own.
Well,
and I could do it all day, every day.
Well, I think it's like
I think it's the writer in me. I love creating. I mean, I'll just create just because I want to. Just because I have time, I'll be like, I have nothing to do. I guess I'll make a D&D character in case my character dies, right? And then 10 characters later, I don't know why I have 10 characters, but they're sitting there for some reason. So I don't know. That's the kind of person I am, though. It's a little. I'm weird. I'm sorry.
No, that's not a bad. That's not a bad thing.
I think that's what storytellers do, or writers, storytellers. That's what you do.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite part. My favorite part is the creation of the stories and the backgrounds and the characters and the worlds and that stuff. The playing it is also fun, but I think the creation aspect of it is definitely a really, really exciting.
Our guest on last week, Matt's, who does actually YouTube based on the Faerun world setting. I think he said it best he described it best that a lot of times, a lot of us, especially you, Ollie, Andrew, you're all looking at it that you have to necessarily adhere to the rules of the world. But he was saying that
you don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to. You can use it more.
You're
as a
the
template.
DM. You make the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
You do whatever you want.
It's shortcuts sometimes.
Here's the thing, though. There are I think it's different when you're doing an online show because there's people out there who are put your glasses up and
true.
oh, that's not what happens in this world, and because so you have this. Whereas if you just create your own, you don't have that element to it unless you basically put out like, here's my house rules, here are the things that I'm doing, because then people will chill their grill. But there's some people who are like rule mongers, so it like makes it a little bit, I don't know, less fun. But hey, DM's word is the end all, so it doesn't matter what the book says.
It's very true, and the fact is that you can always, again, you can make your own version of these worlds too. And the thing is, though, I have liked how Pathfinder has managed to establish a, like, very...
Don't die, Joe.
Joe?
Excuse me, I'll be right back.
Okay. If you end up with another coughing fit...
I'm not dead yet.
If you can talk, you're fine. So.
He's almost dead. Well, don't worry. If he does die, I'll make sure to prop him up in front of his camera and put it online each week. We'll put up a thing, you know.
I got better.
Yeah, he's still there.
Weekend at Joe's.
Yeah, Weekend at Joe's.
Weekend at Joe's. Oh, this just got real dark and weird.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
Never happens in D&D or Pathfinder.
No, not at all.
No.
Too soon.
Too soon. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. Then Joe died. No, I have enjoyed the Galarian setting it's a very interesting setting overall, I kind of feel like. And that's one of the reasons I haven't minded using it in the few times that I actually have. But I tend to aim for, a lot of times, yeah, my own version of things, especially if I'm not running a pre-made adventure. Like, when I'm running a pre-made adventure and editing it on my own, then I usually just go with whatever the world setting is. Maybe, you know, tweak it here and there, but...
Yeah, I think the controversy with it is more so that, as a subscriber, like, you would think that you would get a better benefit from being a subscriber, and like they put a lot of stuff that was already in the previous books.
Yeah, I think that's another thing.
That was more so like, I think, where people are upset about things. But if you're like you said, if you love that theme, I think that there are aspects in there that you'll like and enjoy.
I mean, the fact is, Pathfinder puts out or Paizo puts out a lot of books. I feel like they are still subscribing to a little bit of the 3.0, 3.5 mentality that Wizards did, which isn't always the best mentality. Granted, they put out not as many hardcover books. They put out a lot of like small supplemental books.
Yeah. I think supplemental books are awesome. I mean, a lot of those have like some of the best parts of it, or parts of like character creation and like different feats and different class subtypes or archetypes and things like that. So I think the supplements aren't a bad route to go as a designer. I don't know why people want to focus so much on like player, like, you know, adventure guides, but
no, I
agree too. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just saying supplements are always great, but then with 3.5 they kind of went a little bit overboard.
Yes, so that's what I always worry about with Pathfinders that are going to hit that level of overboard.
Right, it's trying to find that balance.
Yes.
Let's be honest. If you're playing Pathfinder, you know you're going overboard.
Oh, God.
Oh, I don't know anything about going overboard in Pathfinder.
Oh, my God.
Do I that?
Yes, we've hit characters you have had, and we have a friend who doesn't play 5th edition. He only plays Pathfinder, and the fact is he has horrible amounts of insomnia and reads through everything.
There's just so much he's probably gonna die because you can't read.
I don't
all
know why.
Shit.
No, the thing is, he comes up with such crazy plans for characters. I can't GM him anymore. I was like, I'm out. I can't GM you. One of the other persons can do it. I can't handle this. It's too much.
I made the comment to him, can you not create just like a base character and not come up with something that's totally off the wall insane? And he goes, I don't think I could do that.
I think I like this person already. Let's be friends.
Yeah, I mean it's both sometimes fun to play with him and then sometimes a headache. And I just am like, when I stepped away from being his GM, I'm like, I feel so much better. I don't have to deal with this. It's not my world that he's doing something to.
Of course. Then we had another person.
Wait, what was he doing? Like, what I was thinking, like, if you just make a I think characters with a lot
Okay,
of depth are really
okay.
cool, but if it's
No, it was
obnoxious
just, he
and
was
it's kind
trying
of
to
ruining.
create broken characters.
He
Oh,
saw
bro.
he found points in time where it was something that was legal within the Pathfinder rules, but it was like this like tweaks of little things put together that made him like ridiculous. Like the idea of he found optional rules for an apprentice wizard, but he could make the apprentice wizard have an apprentice that's an apprentice wizard who could have an apprentice that's an apprentice wizard, and so on down the line, and it hurt my brain.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But
But
he
here's the thing. I think that if he's going to go that route, then you're like, okay, well, you have to pay that person to be your apprentice. Like, you have to pay these people.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
they're not
yeah,
just going to,
like-
like, work for you for nothing. So,
Well-
like, he actually has to have, like, a job and,
Oh, yeah.
you know, or,
Like-
like, make income, and part of his income has to go into that. Like, if he wants to
Mhm.
utilize that power. Like,
Oh,
as
yeah.
a DM, I think there's ways to, like,
to
I love that
mitigate it.
idea. I think
Yeah.
it's a really cool idea. Like, maybe he has his own wizard tower, right? And, like,
Oh my God, that would be
this is his
wonderful.
crew that works there. Like, I am all about giving players power and like letting them
Mhm.
do the things that they want to do within the confinements of the rules. But they also have to like pay the tax on things, you know. So I think
Yeah.
that that's really awesome, and to be able to play a campaign like that and like
Oh no.
create and help them build and create a world. I don't know. I think it's cool.
I didn't mind certain points in time, and I put up with a lot of his weird shenanigans and tried to work with it. But it's sometimes like he did put together a sorcerer in Pathfinder that was unkillable, but couldn't do any damage because it concentrated on basically like having a billion hit
Yes.
points
Protecting.
and strength.
Oh my gosh, like a mage tank? That is so
Yes,
cool.
he actually
But he
built.
didn't do damage, that was the problem.
No, but it
but
was
that's
awesome.
cool.
It was
Let
awesome.
him be the tank then.
Mage
I think
tank.
it's rad
Like
because
the-
people don't expect it. Like
No!
you can
Oh
have
my
him be
God.
RPing like as the tank.
It was
and, like,
wonderful. No, like he's
The
had
boss
some-
is just being like, who are you? Ugh. And they hit
Like-
them and they're like,
like,
why aren't you
everybody
taking
was
damage?
like dying to this banshee, and like the banshee kept using its wail and doing like all this damage, and he was just like, yep. After like 5 times, the banshee's like, "What's going on? Aren't you supposed to be dead by now?" While everybody else is like recovering and using this opportunity to like fight against it. It was like, what's going on?
But see, the
Wow.
compound problem with him also was he'd get bored of a character very easily and just be like, I'm creating a new one. That one's gone.
Oh.
And he never got attached to his characters whatsoever.
Well, then you make epic deaths.
Well, he did have some epic deaths, and
As a DM, that should be your favorite thing. You're like, oh, I get to kill you off. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
But then
Exactly.
it gets to be in a.
Yeah.
But then when you're doing a campaign, it gets to be with the other team members of like, why do we keep adding this? Why do we keep
Or
adding?
don't
this
give him
person
gear.
in?
Yeah.
the thing is,
That's
like,
the hard part.
Yeah,
Okay, I feel you.
it was we were adapting like some pre-made adventures for like the couple of times that I was dealing with him, and it was hard to like figure out how like in the middle of an adventure I would add another person in.
Here's the thing. I think I talked about this a little bit yesterday on exploding dice or fuzzy dice, and I think that a lot of the times it's you have to find the right people to play together. So
Mhm.
in that case, I think he would be a great person to have on like one shots because he clearly loves making like different types of characters. Or he should just be a DM at that point if he loves making so many
No.
characters.
We tried,
Depending on, like,
we
the skill
tried
set.
having him DM. He plays in his style, so he feels that characters are disposable. So you can't get attached
that's
to
horrible.
characters.
Yeah, I think as a DM you
Yeah.
have to be willing to like understand. Some people get real attached to the characters. Like
yeah.
people will
Yeah.
cry, and
Yeah.
you just like the whole point of this is a game. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be creating something
think,
and
like,
using your creative mind. So
I can see
yeah,
his mentality for DMing, and I finally realized it after like being away from him. He has Dark Souls DMing, which isn't a bad type of play, but you have to be ready for it. And I was not ready for it the last time he was DMing, and so it was just this crushing blow of like everyone was dying around us, and my character ended up being like before I had to like
No, just
change
kidding.
my schedule and like basically step away. I was the only one that was left alive from the original, and I was like, I thought to myself, I'm like, why am I on this quest?
Yeah, I think that the main thing with those types of DMs where like they're out to kill the player, like you have to know that coming into it, and if you do, like you can have a little bit more fun with it because you're like, okay, I'm min-maxing. That's my goal. This is not an RP campaign. This is a
Yeah.
I need to be the most battle-ready person ever and play my role within this group. And strategically, we have to work together. Like I think that's a cool concept. I don't often find that like DMs do it very well. But I have done one campaign where it was like that, and we all came into it knowing we were min-maxing. We all talked our way through it. We made sure we had every element that we wanted, and we played some really, really fun episodes. And I think like that can be fun. It just everyone has to know coming into it that that's what you're doing. Otherwise, it's just not fun.
It's a short-term thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're gonna die at some point.
Yeah.
Like you have to know that you're gonna die.
So
it's not great for a long-term campaign, which is what we were doing. We were doing a campaign set, a whole campaign setting and everything.
He was trying to run one of the adventure paths, basically that Pathfinder puts out.
Yeah.
So he was basically
I think
like
one guy died probably close to 15 times.
Yeah, he basically decided that like random encounters were something he had to include in and put them in at the worst possible times every time, and that's how he killed us. Basically, we couldn't rest. And, we always had, like, surprise attacks at the weirdest times to murder us.
Oh, he didn't roll.
Yeah, that goes into the realm of if you can do something, doesn't mean you should.
Well, it's sort of like, we had to rest in this cave, and I go outside, and all this, like, to get supplies because we're low on them. And a Roomvarax attacks us, which is like our CR. It's like, well, so I can't get supplies to survive for the night?
Yeah. But on a different note,
yes, let's
I think one of the weirdest characters we've had in semi-recent times was a unicorn for a bank robbery.
That is great.
Yeah.
Oh my
unicorn
gosh.
For a bank robbery adventure.
That is awesome. I have never done a bank robbery episode, but that would be really funny in like a medieval.
Oh my god.
Session.
No, the worst part was...
that's like Shadowrun, but like, but like in a D&D or like Pathfinder setting. That's funny.
And it was a unicorn monk
in a kobold bank. So it was like the unicorn was unusually sized for everything, and then kept trying to like open things with his mouth and his horn, and it was always very loud. So it was hilarious, and it got us in trouble. But it was
because he tried to open a coffin with his teeth and dropped the coffin lid.
Oh.
I think whoever's the DM needs to be like, no. You can't have that thing.
Unfortunately, it was the guy who lets everything happen and also tries to kill us.
Yes, because the first time he tried DMing was his own campaign setting before he did the adventure path, and the campaign setting, it started out all right with the heist because we weren't getting into trouble. It degenerated from there, what we just say, into some character deaths. But anyway, why don't we... Yes, Pathfinder is an interesting system, going back to the original topic, where, unfortunately, if you have enough time and energy, you can find a lot of exploits in it, technically, but it will be up to your GM/DM to mitigate those. Always.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's so many cool characters that you can create. Like there's just a plethora of options, and it's just really fun.
I love Pathfinder's character options. That's one of the things I like about it. I like 5th edition for a little bit more. It feels a little more easier to put everything together for 5th edition. Yeah. But like Pathfinder, if I'm in the mood for a good number crunch, because I do like that actually, that's where I'm looking for it. Why don't we move on though, because we could talk probably about Pathfinder all day. I do want to talk about Through the Breach. They've got Penny Dreadful. The new one is Till Death Do Us Part. But I want to talk about all of these things in one. Why don't we start with Through the Breach. So Through the Breach is a role-playing game system where you don't use dice, use playing cards, where you draw basically playing cards to resolve things using your character's numbers and stuff, where you take the role of fated characters, and it feels very steampunk a little bit, on like this kind of magic world. Okay. And it's definitely really cool, and I really like the idea of it. I hadn't seen anything for Through the Breach up until now, and apparently they put out one-shot adventures called Penny Dreadfuls after the old British.
I love Penny Dreadful.
Yes.
I love the theme of Penny Dreadful. So I didn't even know this existed. So I'm
Yes.
probably gonna have to go check it out.
Yes.
First of all, because I love that theme and like the story, and I could see a campaign being set in that
Oh, yeah.
with like the witches and I don't know, like all kinds of,
Well, no, like
or like like the alchemy and stuff. I don't know, like it's just such a cool world.
the one shot that introduced me to like this that I found that had come out is all about like someone died, and you as the fated have to help her unravel the mystery of what happened that she died before her fiancé marries another woman. That just sounds like such an interesting adventure too. It's sort of like, wow, you're helping a dead person who's come back as undead basically figure out why she died and why her fiancé's marrying
Very
someone else.
Penny Dreadful. So
Yes.
that makes people coming back to life.
Yes.
Penny Dreadful is basically like Frankenstein, but like on crack and multiple characters, So like I think if you're interested in that like gritty storyline, I think that it's probably going to be pretty fun.
No.
I haven't played it, so I don't have a lot of like opinions because I can't make opinions off things that I've never experienced.
Yeah, that's true.
People do.
But the art looks really cool.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
the
the
art
art
looks
looks
This is
awesome.
true. People do.
Yeah. I feel like it's got a little bit of like definitely steampunk in there, a little bit of like your basic fantasy, and a little bit of even like maybe even like Cthulhu and Lovecraftian like taste.
Ooh,
in
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And
I
it just
definitely could get a Cthulhu vibe.
it just seems like such an interesting setting that this was a good excuse to learn about. I will have the summary information link in chat. For
I wonder if
anybody
there's an online weighted.
There you
tray.
go. That's all the that's like a lot of the basic information about it there.
Yeah.
If you guys want to check that out for yourselves. But I like the idea of the playing cards too as a way of resolving things, where you like draw a card and use that as like a basis for it. That like different cards have different abilities. Basically, you can have the numbers, or like the face cards have things too. It's kind of interesting, definitely.
I would definitely like to check this out.
No. Well, I know you like a good steampunk, so this definitely has that feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to play a lot of steampunk stuff, but I would totally be in.
I don't know if there's a lot of steampunk stuff out there, unfortunately. Off the top
There
of my head.
is. There is, but we haven't
There's
really
enough. Like
dived
I
into
think
it.
one of the campaigns that I really love is Numenera, and you could totally go steampunk with that.
Okay.
And Numenera is amazing. Like it is one of the campaigns where I'm like, I haven't gotten to play enough of it. I want to play more of it. I think it's just such a cool system because you can still go it's like fantasy science, fantasy sci-fi, and you can go more that route. And I actually like made like kind of a steampunky like robot character, and it was really fun. And the character creation, it feels more like a fighting game kind of, but I don't know. I love it. I thought it was really cool, and I think you could, as a DM, you could probably come up with some really cool worlds, and definitely go the steampunk way.
Well, yeah, I know.
I bet.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I've been working on a Pathfinder Adventurer for my that I'm writing that is a steampunk kind of adventure, but with Fae.
Ooh.
That Fae have found that they basically found this technology and have gone away from nature and completely into the machine world, and it's there's its own demi-plane and everything for it.
Wow.
Eventually, I will finish it up and hopefully run it at some point.
The character sheets for these games look cool.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I was going to say something important. Oh, I do know of a couple of systems that would probably be easy adapted to like a steampunk setting too. Like I talk a lot about Bessem over on my channel just because I do a video on it each week, and I know that one is just open to it. Then again, you're going more steampunk anime style, which I guess would also be kind of interesting to do. But
Honestly, you could make any campaign like that. You can just
That's
take
true.
the rule set, for instance, like for D&D or Pathfinder, and you can like make a world that is more like more
Technology-based.
mechanically driven rather than magically driven. And I think like that's really cool. One of the areas that I had created like a long time ago when I ran a campaign was I had like this gnomish town that like was all built around like steampunk. So everything was, clockwork or gears and like things that work together, and like something wasn't working right and they had to like figure out what that was, and it was something that had to do with that. So they had to like find this giant cog thing that was missing, and like all kinds of stuff. So you can make a campaign that is based around that stuff if that's what you want. It's all up to your imagination.
Yeah, and with Pathfinder, they have the technology guide too, which helps.
Yeah. Though that's the thing is like I think coming up with stuff on your own is definitely something you can always do for any of these systems if you want to use it. And I do like sometimes that they put out stuff that helps you out. Like I think the DMG for D&D has some stuff that you could helps for putting in later time periods too.
Oh. Yeah, like, I never use that stuff. The only thing I use is like character creation supplement stuff. Yeah. But otherwise, like I'm just like I just want to use my own mind. Like even like NPCs, I'm like I'll just make up their abilities. I like doing that because like it makes it more exciting. Like, and I like whenever like mobs interact with like the world. So like the players have to use the environment around them to fight like a boss. So it's not just it's more like I guess like a raid in like in like a video game rather than like tabletop. That's how I like to think about it because it makes it more exciting and strategic. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely that's the thing is like I feel like I always like to try to experiment with a little bit of abilities, but I have learned from my many years as DMing I can go too far.
Yeah.
Well,
I get balance.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I think we all can. I mean, I have my own role-playing game that eventually I want to get back to fixing and finishing. That I wrote. It's basically 1920s, 1930s Chicago mob rules.
Ooh, I love it.
With a twist that there's an alien race that crash landed on Earth.
Oh shit! I love it.
Vampires, which I took a lot of different mythologies.
Isn't that a Star Trek episode?
Them.
Definitely, probably.
Everything could almost be a Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
Star Trek came up with like such bizarre things. They're like, well, let's take acid today and figure out what's going to happen on this episode. Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, especially original series. They did a lot of really random things.
So good.
But very good. I've always been a big Trekkie, but that world, you know, there's this mix of technology and stuff because of the aliens, and I've done everything. You know, I built even sheets for characters to have the lingo of the time and try to get people really into that.
Oh yeah,
I love it. Yeah, so the lingo sheets are always good. I love those for Shadowrun campaigns.
Oh yeah, those are wonderful. Those are really great. I love the Shadowrun lingo so much. But Joe, you have an excellent setting. I think it's just your dice system was what we needed tweaking more than anything.
Oh yeah, that's what really needed to be fixed. Is I was trying to make a somewhat accurate hit system that when you used the gun, that it actually made sense of where you were shooting someone. But it still needs more tweaking because like a Tommy gun ended up shooting down Matt's body and blowing off his foot. Which
I think with like gun systems in tabletop, I've actually made like a FPS game before, so I don't know if any of you guys have played PlanetSide 2, but I was one of the core game designers on that game. And if I was going to like translate something like that into like a tabletop, I think like, for instance, what you were saying like that to hit, you have to have like a percentage rating, right? And depending on the weapon, you would have different percentage rating. And then you could have add-ons onto your weapon that would like alter that percentage. So like, for instance, if you had a grip, right? Like that's going to make it, you're going to be more accurate. So your accuracy percentage would go up. So you kind of have to have some kind of stats within each of those weapons and like alter them, maybe 2 or 3 stats. I think that would probably help. And then when you roll, you'd be rolling your percentage to hit, right? And then your percentage for damage based on hit.
That actually might help because right now the way I have the system for skills is all it adds different percentages to how well you can do something.
Yeah.
So
shooting stuff is like such a different thing than like, oh, I'm gonna hit something. But I mean, even when you look at like tabletop RPGs, like with crossbows, they just kind of like they do a 2-hit and then they do damage, right? So I think like as long as you balance, you can do it with just 2 rolls, but then at that point like you just have to make sure that it balances out because that person gets to stay at range versus the person who has to be up close and personal, taking damage, that kind of thing.
Right. Well, and the thing was, I was trying to make it as realistic as possible because I'm trying to have it set in a somewhat realistic world.
It's fun, but sort of stilistic, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, I wanted, how, when you shoot, obviously you're going to be able to aim. So there is an aiming system and stuff, but also when you're using automatic weapons, it's obviously you're going to be aiming towards this, but then it's going to go off in a certain direction. Things like that. I wanted to try
ricochet,
to make it.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, like if you're using a Tommy gun, you're not going to be able to keep it exactly at the spot you're shooting.
Oh, yeah, because you have the recoil.
Yeah, but the recoil, thank you. I was trying to think of the word.
No problem. I got you.
The recoil,
I'm a gun nerd also, so.
We can accept this. We have a friend who's a gun nerd. He ended up in a job.
Last night.
Yes. He ended up in a job where he makes gun parts for a living, so.
I made it, I made a FPS game, so I think that was one of the things I was very excited about. Plus, I played the original PlanetSide, so it was kind of like this weird, when I was 13, I played this, but now I get to create the second rendition of it. Although it wasn't really my design, right? Because I wasn't the creative director. I was just a core combat designer, so I kind of had to adhere to what they had envisioned.
But you're still getting to put your 2 cents in, which is awesome.
Yeah, to some extent, right? Yeah. This was back in the day, I don't know. I think we launched in 2012, 2011. I don't know.
Back in my day.
Way back then.
Way back then.
Not that long ago. I'm just saying, it was a while ago when I worked on that game. I haven't worked on that game now. So whatever the game is now, I haven't touched it. Okay.
I mean that still could be called back in the day because I could look back at myself that many years ago and it's oh wow, whoa, what was I doing then? Jeez.
Right.
Oh.
I think I was very fortunate. I got to start being a game designer very even while I was going to college. So I think I got very fortunate to be in a position where I got the opportunity to work for Sony Online Entertainment, and I love that experience that I got to have. So I think it was very, very cool for me. But now I'm on to new adventures.
Yeah. We did have another steampunk game that was introduced to me by Alicia Lynn, Tefra, the steampunk RPG. Specifically, it's made to be very steampunk. So
Tefra?
Tefra. T-E-P-H-R-A. Here's the link to their site directly in chat. It's got its own clockwork system. So, I mean, this is definitely...
Book cover looks familiar.
Yeah. I might have seen it in a gaming store myself. It's the thing too. But unfortunately, I do have to confess, I don't actually check out as many RPGs in stores anymore. I usually, check them out online a lot more.
Looks like you can download the character sheets and stuff and maps, and this is kind of cool.
So it has been proven that there are more steampunk RPGs than I knew about.
Oh, there's definitely a lot of RPGs. I think the one of my favorite shows that I've ever been part of was roleplay research and development, or R&D, and we would play every 4 to 8 weeks. We would swap and change to play a new game, and I think that was the most fun for me that I've ever had because I got to experience all these different systems. And I think as a game designer, it makes you think about things oh man, I really like this aspect of this system and this aspect of that system, and it just because everyone's trying their own thing, right? But if you only experience one type of tabletop game, you'll never get to see all these different ways that you could be this could work. I could see this being a really cool thing. The Dungeon World series, I love that whole the Dungeon World, Apocalypse World, that series is awesome, and the system behind that is really, really neat and simple. You only roll d6s, so it just makes it really easy to bring someone who has never played a tabletop RPG game into this world, and then they're that's the first, that's your gateway drug into it. And then you're now let's play Pathfinder. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe not that step next, but
yeah, you want at least a step in between before you hit Pathfinder, and then you use Pathfinder to step into Shadowrun, Well,
Shadowrun's crazy. I think specifically playing a Decker has been kind of crazy for me because when I played Shadowrun in the past, I was this is easy to create a character, but as a Decker, I found that this is the most complicated thing that I've ever played in any game so far.
As someone that only really runs Shadowrun, I can tell you, I love the world setting of it, but the system itself oftentimes gives me headaches when I'm trying to write it.
The book is fucking terrible. You can't find shit in it, and it'll be like, go to this page, and then you go to that page, and they're like, go to this page. You're like, are you freaking kidding me? I just want to know how to use this one thing. Why are you doing this to me?
And just, it's just the levels that you need to write as the person, because it's sort of like, okay, do I have a Decker in my team? I do. Okay, I have to worry about that. Do I have a magic user? Okay, I have to worry about that. Do I have this? Oh, I have to worry about that. I've got someone that uses drones. Okay, yes. It's like you have to take into account every character perfectly, or it's not going to be like, or it's just going to, they're going to like careen through it because you didn't take them into account, to make it that challenge. You almost have
I don't think you have to necessarily do that. I think you can have some things, some episodes where it's like, this person's, the skill set for them, like it's this job, really needed, that skill, like this mission's going to be really good for them, and this mission's going to be really good for that person. So they have to like work together. Or, like you said, you can have it where everyone has to do their little parts to make the outcome work.
And I think it's also a level of, like, I haven't written a Shadowrun campaign in a while, so I think, the lessons learned over the past couple of years, probably would help me a lot nowadays. But back in the old days, also, it's the difference between, 1st edition to 5th edition. They've fixed a lot. They have fixed so much.
I've been playing 5th edition on Sundays, and I don't remember what episode we're on now, but we've been playing for quite a few weeks, 2 months, I think, or something like that. We're going on our 3rd month, and it's been pretty fun. I like it. I like 5th edition. It's not too bad. Just the only gripe I have is the book is terrible. Not that it's terrible, it's just like unorganized, and like as somebody who's like a really organized person, I'm like, why is the book laid out like this? I don't understand.
I've even in 4th edition, it's like I feel like it was a good jump between 3rd and 4th, that they fixed a lot of problems, but it's still like you have to somehow find all this information throughout it, and
I heard that the German version of it is actually better laid out, which I was like, what?
Okay.
That's why I have just like bookmarks on so many pages for different characters. It's like I need to be able to look in this section relatively quickly.
Yeah, it's because my German homies and I like we like things the way that it's structurally organized.
What?
I'm gonna go with that.
Mm-hmm. Look, I am of German descent. I can respect this very much so.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I am as well. Fitty. Mm-hmm.
I'm like 75% German, so.
Oh damn.
Yeah, like my
you just got one up me, huh?
Well, my father's side was like completely German, and then my mother's side has some in it too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my family's Filipino, and then German is the other half. So it's my ethnicity.
My dad's side's German and Native American.
Ooh, Native American.
And then my mom's side's pretty much everything else in the world.
She's just a mutt.
Yeah.
But
She's
your parents
a nomad. She traveled the world. Their family traveled the world. That's kind of cool.
But Joe, your parents are tiny, and you're a massive person. So
yes, my dad's 5'3" at 110 pounds.
Oh, that's like me.
Wow.
Well, I'm smaller than that.
5 and not 110 pounds.
That's crazy. So you got like the German genes for sure. My mom is 4'11".
Actually, it's a lot of the Native American too, because I'm part Seneca, and my dad's been up to the reservation before, and they're all like really tall, broad-shouldered. So it comes from that side as well that I get my bulk.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, my mom is 4'11", so she's tiny, and then my dad is 6'2". So it's like the range of where I could be. I'm on the short range, so. And my brother's like 6 foot, versus me being like 5'2". So.
That's always a very interesting conversation that we kind of fall into. I love our tangents. I do. At least these are some of our better tangents, I have to say. We've had some really weird tangents.
We haven't had any animal tangents today.
No! Stop it! We're not going that direction. Anyway, ghosts love candy. New topic.
Are they animal ghosts?
No. Maybe.
I don't know
Speaking
much
of
about this
food,
card game, but it is cute.
Speaking of food, Oh, well.
Ghosts love candy.
Yeah, ghosts love candy. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, food. I was
I
like,
thought you
ghosts?
didn't want to go on a food tangent. Now you've organized one.
Oh, yeah, food.
Oh, I am all about food tangents. What are we gonna talk? I'm down. Food is like my Achilles heel.
How about some candy? We'll talk about candy while we're talking
I
about
don't
ghosts
like
love candy.
candy as much though.
I only like certain candies, so...
I like Starburst, I guess.
Reese's Peanut Butter
Skittles.
Cups.
I guess I like fruity candies.
Chocolate and peanut butter together are my thing, period.
Ooh, peanut butter is a candy? I love peanut butter. I wouldn't consider peanut butter a candy. That's protein.
Yeah,
That's like a
chocolate
daily
and peanut
thing
butter.
that
See,
I
that's-
need in my life.
That's why I'm always going with the peanut butter cups, because they got that, like, bit of peanut butter in the middle.
Peanut butter cups with dark chocolate, though.
You got the sweet and salty there.
It depends on who's doing the dark chocolate. Like, I don't like Hershey's dark chocolate as much as their milk chocolate, but there's a couple candy
I like
stores.
real dark chocolate, like the bitter dark chocolate.
I know a couple
That's the German in you.
I know a couple
Like
candy
like
stores
a bar
that
of
do
dark
that very well.
chocolate.
Yes.
Not like some weird brand shit. I don't need like that.
But anyway, so Ghost Love Candy, it's a new game.
That's like, let me reel it back in.
Let's reel it back in.
He's always trying to do that.
I'm
We
always
never
trying
let
to do
him.
that. It sometimes
We're the
works.
worst fish. We're like goldfish. We like swim around the thing, and then we're like, oh, we're here? What are we talking about again?
Squirrel?
Squirrel. Anyway, it's by Steve Jackson Games, who does Munchkin and a lot of other great things, and they're the ones that publish GURPS currently.
Oh, Delric always talks about GURPS.
You see, GURPS is one of the two systems I want to try. Never have. GURPS
Always talks about it. He says it's amazing. I definitely want to try it sometime. Maybe we have to do like an offline episode where we make him show us how it works.
Yeah, definitely. That'd
Yeah,
be
I have a
wonderful.
player who's like my age in my D&D group every Sunday, and not all the time, but a couple of times every session she's like, in GURPS this would never happen. It would be blah blah blah. And finally I had a sign made up that just says F GURPS, and I just hold it up above the DM screen because I don't want to hear about it. Because I guess it's really, really fine, formula for friendly fire and that kind of stuff, where it's realistic, but it's just not practical for an RPG to flow, I think. That's my experience with GURPS.
I feel like it's for. I mean, I'm making assumptions at this point from my experience with Delric, because he mentions it all the time whenever we've had discussions. I feel like it's definitely for more of like the bookwormy type of people who like, which I'm totally one of those people. I'm down with trying something like that out. But I don't think it's good for like a casual, like trying to get people into the game or like doing something that's going to be smooth and run through.
No.
Not at all.
Unless you have somebody who like knows the rules really well, I feel like then that person could probably like guide everyone along.
I feel like it's got its base system, and then like whatever you're going to run with it, you need a book for, and they've got a book for everything. It's as soon as you need it, there it is for you. You're ready for it.
But you don't need books if you have like a
yes.
person. That person can be your book. Just be like, tell me how the thing works, master. All right, cool. Just sort of trust in your DM, guys. Just let them guide
No.
you.
No, never trust your DM.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Especially when they're running Curse of Strahd.
It's always like the, you can do that, and then you're like, should I? No, I don't know if I should do it.
Why don't you more dark powers from this temple?
They're totally not
with you-
evil.
With your tone, you can change everything.
Or they've just decided an action, and then you're like smiling, and then they're like, "All right." I'm like, "No, no, you said what you were doing. That's what you're doing." So,
Oh crap! What did I just do?
yeah.
Anyway, really
Why is he reaching for the large figures in the miniature section?
reeling it back in just a little bit here?
So you're trick-or-treaters?
Yeah, you're
You have
ghosts.
to possess trick-or-treaters.
Yeah.
This is creepy. This got real creepy. I'm like reading the rules. So the object of this game is use your team of ghosts to possess trick-or-treaters and gobble up the candy you crave. What? Okay, so you're just possessing them and then you eat the candy through a child?
Yes,
That's so weird.
Wow.
That's so effed up.
and different
Is that-
costs.
The player whose ghost earned them the most candy points after 8 rounds wins. But be careful. When a trick-or-treater eats too much candy, they get sick and become your burden. Oh my gosh! So like they vomit and then you have to deal with that. That's disgusting. This is all disgusting, creepy, first of all, and then also disgusting.
I think we can read.
It looks
I
so
think-
Yeah,
wonderful.
I agree.
It's like it looks so like wonderful though. It's like that's the thing about it. It's so weird.
I think we could rename this "Ghosts Love to Give Kids Diabetes."
Oh.
No. This is how you get diabetes.
And apparently, like it's different costumes have different abilities. So you choose you get a costume, and it gives you your abilities that you can alter.
Oh, okay, so I see. See, that's your role basically. Is
Yes.
whatever costume you're wearing.
And you can
All
change them, I guess, as you possess different kids.
That's so creepy. So creepy. It's just so.
But and the thing is, like, apparently
I
the
feel
ghost
like you can make this into a drinking game real easily, though.
the ghost players look like a family of ghosts. That's what it kind of looks like, though, too. Because
That's even more creepy.
yeah, it's got like the dad with the mustache,
Oh yeah, it's the mom and the dad and the little kid.
Yeah, and it's got like another one that it shows on
Why
the
is
one
the
page.
little kid like bigger than the dad though?
Perspective. The dad's
Candy.
in the background.
Candy.
Candy.
Candy. The kid
That's
also.
Joe and his parents.
How do? So okay, I get it. So the ghosts go into the kids' bodies,
So that
possess
they can
them,
enjoy
and
candy,
they
because
eat
normally
candy.
they can't enjoy candy. Because it's not +1 candy.
It doesn't come
I'm guessing.
from
I'm guessing like each of the candies has different things, and like if you go over a limit or something.
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure. Like, you can only eat certain amounts of... So it's like, it's supposed to be a little dark, colorful, cartoony, because you're haunting kids until they get scared.
That's
Yeah,
so.
a
weird.
little dark.
just a little bit.
Oh, and I guess each candy has different levels of how much they're worth. So chocolate is 0, which seems really weird. Lollipops is 1, candy corn 2, licorice 3, gummies 4. I like gummy candies. I'll say that. Peppermint is
That's
5.
candy corn. It might not be that bad, actually.
I don't
Yes.
like candy corn. Candy corn tastes like. It doesn't taste like. I mean, I don't know what chalk tastes like,
I don't
but that's
like
what I
candy
imagine
corn.
chalk tastes like is candy corn.
Mhm. Yeah, candy corn, nope. That and,
I know people who want bags of it who love it. I'm just
It
like.
depends on who makes it. Like Brock's candy makes actually a really decent candy corn.
I don't know. It tastes like plastic.
I think you had
the cheap
California candy corn.
That's just the cheap candy corn. If you get like the higher end candy corn, it actually has a good flavor.
It's like the
Okay.
cheap Orange County candy corn. You need like Eastern candy
I
corn.
haven't lived here my whole life. I've lived all over the place, but I've had candy corn in all across
Oh,
the
okay.
U.S. and other countries, and I've just never liked it. I don't know. Maybe I just don't like that kind of texture.
It's one of the main food groups for elves. Come on.
Oh no, the texture is a little weird. I will.
Yeah, like candy cane, candy corn.
Oh, gotcha.
God.
Candy corn is on that
Syrup.
list. Syrup.
Yeah,
They
candy
just
corn.
drink syrup.
Candy
like,
corn on the
thing.
cob.
candy
Yeah.
corn on the cob. I don't want to see
Candy corn
that.
on the cob. Yes. I love it.
I
Now I want to play like a character that is like an elf who just eats candy and like gives candy to everybody. Funny.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I'd see a gnome doing that more.
A gnome.
Yeah.
Just be like a little elf, like a I don't know.
Halfling, maybe.
Just make up your own elf.
Yeah,
Or
a
halfling,
A
yeah, I
halfling
could
that
see
makes the candy. I could see.
Oh,
yeah.
halfling. Totally, I can see a halfling
Yeah.
doing that.
Oh
For sure.
God. No, this
Gnome candy may explode.
this is just an interesting game, just to say the least. And it's like there's so many weird roles and stuff. So I
Like
guess
one of the things is like the cowgirl. Apparently, you can steal candy from an adjacent player.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like a skeleton can move a scared kid from any player's stash to another player's stash. So I guess you get a number of like scared kids
So
that you
creepy.
could possibly possess.
Why do they have to be kids? Why couldn't they be like just people?
Because it's supposed to be Halloween theme, and I know that's why it's
But it's
supposed to.
so creepy
People
when you
do
leave.
Halloween.
Yes, but you don't. Adults normally don't go trick or treating.
Hey man, I'll go trick or
In
treating.
California, they do.
Yeah.
I've gone trick or treating for beer before.
I
It's
think,
not
like,
Halloween, man.
Yeah, no, that was Halloween. It was freaking awesome.
Oh, okay. I thought that was just like a regular weekend thing.
No, there's one neighborhood when I was working at a convenience store. There was a few people in there that would have alcohol out for adults if they were trick or treating.
I love it.
So we just went around and kept going back to the same house. It's like, trick or treat, can I have another beer?
Halloween pub crawl.
That's
Exactly.
pretty much what it
Yeah,
is.
there you go. There's probably that exists, I'm sure.
Well,
Yeah.
I could say, like, I think the last time I actually went trick-or-treatings was late teens, and that was just, because we had a really awesome idea for a group costume with a bunch of people, and we did that, And,
Last time for me was probably early to mid-20s when we did the trick or treating for alcohol.
There you go. But no, so Ghost Love Candy, it is out now, and you can always check it out if you really want to. Again, it's a little dark, a little weird, but,
It's not dark at all, but like the art style is not dark. But
no, the art style
the
is not at all.
background of possessing small children is pretty dark.
And making them eat until they basically get sick. Yes, that's a little dark. It's like, just keep eating, kid. Just keep eating, kid, Alright, so I do want to move on. Andrew, you think you're still good on time? Because I was going to start with Maggie's.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
fine.
good.
Then I do want to, because I was just going to go in order of how I announced them up until then. So I'll probably put off the discussion of Roll20 till the end, just in case we still get Scott. Something might have come up. I haven't heard from him, so I'll hope he still pops in. So, Maggie, you do something that I find very interesting, which I have seen before, but I haven't seen it as much except with you. Dressing up as your character for roleplay. I love it. You do such a great job,
Aw, thanks.
I
do a lot of cosplay stuff, and so I love costume things. I did a lot of like stage acting stuff in like high school and college and stuff like that, and I just love getting into characters and playing them. I think it's the actress in me. Like I just want to like get fully like immersed into it. So I think like it's just fun, and plus like we're putting on a show for viewers, so I feel like the least I can do is like show up and make the experience fun for them. That's
that's cool.
That's it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think there are people that do that anyway too. Like I've heard of groups that just they'll all dress up for their characters for the groups anyway, which is I think it's an interesting thing to do, and I do like the idea of it. So it's sort of like that thing of, I've always said, I probably won't make a costume for myself. If someone provided it, sure, I probably could wear it, but I don't have that kind of skill.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fun, and Ollie Rant makes a good point too. He's just saying that like it's cool because he can like imagine what my character is like because I'm like dressed up as it. So you can kind of get like a good envision of who I am. Mm-hmm. I think for Roll For It, for instance, I for a long time just only dressed up as Jade, but then life gets kind of crazy. So and the first time that I like came as me like normal, people were like, who is this?
It's a new character.
And I guess like I'll take that as a compliment because that means like I look like a totally different person, which was kind of like my goal.
I think like the first time was on Lost Initiative where you were doing the levels of the orc Grommet. It was so like the different times you were doing it. It's like it got like more and more ridiculous for a while there too.
Yeah, I have like a Hulk suit. The green makeup is like the hardest part, so I have to go buy more. I'm out, but it's a lot of money to keep investing in that stuff. So I don't know.
I can completely understand that. Like occasional rather than all the time for that kind of thing. Then definitely.
Yeah, and of course I had to take on my like own take of like because I'm not a 8-foot orc, so I have to like make myself look like an orc, but not like what I just take the female version of an orc and kind of play with it just for funsies. But yeah. I don't know. I just have fun with it. I just think it's fun, and like the whole point of us being on these shows is to entertain people, and I hope I'm. Are you not entertained?
I think it's like it's also a level of like even those that don't dress up for shows and stuff too. I think they're doing it because they want to feel like it's their character, and also it might help out like the DM or the other players sort of like get an idea of how they look too, and that's not a bad thing. And my entire thought pattern is it's like. There are steps on the line from your basic tabletop to the LARP world, and this is somewhere in the middle, And I don't mind that because I've experimented a little bit with LARP, and what was it? Just one friend tried to take us to a vampire LARP like one time, and that didn't end well. Me and Joe. But
why didn't it end well?
Well, because that guy's relationship with someone there was the reason why we went there in the first place, and that didn't end well. So we never went back. And,
well, that's interesting.
And because it was a little far of a drive, so we didn't have an excuse otherwise to go there. And
LARP stuff is really fun. If you are really into dressing up as your character and you like getting into character and you want to like have an experience where you fully are your character for like a long period of time, and the people around you are really into their characters, and like you actually get to like just it's like being on a stage, but like where everyone is their character. And I think like it's super fun. One of the groups that I've been with does like a thing where every year annually they have 3 days where they camp out, and like either you're in a camp or a cabin or whatever, and you like just basically role play your character the whole time. And so there's like, and there are NPC characters, and those people are dressed up differently. They all wear blacks, so you can always know who like NPC is, so you know like who to interact with and ask questions. And some of them are bad guys, some are not, and we all use boffers or like sandbags if you're a caster, or bows, boffer bows if you're a caster or an archer. And so like it's just you like people get really into it, and it gets kind of insane, but it's like it's pretty fun if you like that aspect. I got real nerdy on you guys, but some people think it's like real weird, and maybe it is, but I don't know. I think it's cool. So
yeah, I think it's great. It's just another kind of role play, you know, like I have players at my table who they don't use a different voice. The character is pretty much them, you know. And if that character dies, or if they want to choose a new character, we do a campaign. Surprise, surprise, the character is them again, you know. But I think it's just different layers, you know. Other people really get into it with their voice. If a player showed up at my table dressed up, that's cool, you know. Like whatever level they want to get into it. It's awesome.
I'm all about voices too. I think they're fun. I wish that I could do like a half-orc voice. For a while I was trying to use a voice modulator, but it was just not working out as well. People liked it, but like they couldn't understand what I was saying. So I was like, well, that doesn't work. So I kind of like leaned away from doing it just because like I didn't want to ruin the experience for the viewers. But I love doing character voices. They're really fun.
Yeah.
They're all talking about Gadir's voice, because like I do this like old dwarf lady voice for our current campaign that we're playing for a one-shot. Well, it's like a 3-shot at this point. But yeah.
My problem is I'll start doing one and then I get lazy and I stop, and then it's like, I was doing a voice. And I try to pick it up, and it just gets a little weird then, because it's like, are you talking as yourself or your character?
Yeah, you have to kind of stick with it. So, but I think if you do, what helps if you do a voice, it allows people to know when you're talking in character versus out of character.
Yeah.
For that campaign, for a campaign that I did that in high school that lasted for like 2.5 years, we actually had really weird hats. We had silly hats. So when you put the hat on, that was when you were in character, and when you took the hat off, you weren't in character. So it like made it really easy for like, because we had 13 people, so it got a little crazy when people are talking, and we didn't know like who is talking to who, and like if they're in character or not. So like that was our solution for it, and we like figured that solution out in like the second session that we all did, because we're like, we got to find a way. And for a while we were doing this thing where like we put our hands up or something like that, or like we did like this, or we went like that, or I don't know, but like then we needed to roll and it got weird, so we were like, okay, you still need to have your hands, so how are we gonna do this? But that was our solution, because people didn't really want to dress up. Well, other than me, I really like dressing up.
I don't know. There's just something about the hats that reminds me of something else in an entirely different topic, but it reminds me of something of when we didn't have players for a session. We always insisted on getting like, why don't we get a lampshade and put a paper bag over it with like a face on it, and that'll be the person. So if we need to talk to someone. I don't know why.
And we tried. I think the second time we did try to like do something where we passed something, but then it got like. Some people wanted to talk, like you can't do like turn talking, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know what the best solution is. I think the hats thing worked really well, so we stuck with the hats for like 2 years, 2.5 years or something like that.
Yeah, so cool. So definitely, I find this an interesting thing. And as I said, like, you know, we had a chance to talk with Ariel a couple weeks ago, who does cosplay of both Magic the Gathering characters and characters from things like Critical Role and stuff.
Yeah,
So
nice.
she was a very interesting one to talk to, because that's also like another level of this entire fandom that's sort of evolving around it. And I think with you saying like, this is another level of like cosplay that exists out there that I feel like is becoming more popular. That's becoming something farther out there, because it's sort of like
I love cosplay stuff in general. Like, it's an homage to a character, like reincarnating it. Like, it's such a cool thing. Like, I'm gonna be doing 3 or 4 of them for AnimeCon or Anime Expo that's coming up here, and I'm just really excited. It's like when you see what other people put into it, like the craft of creating things, it is. Like, for instance, I'm doing Nier Automata, I'm doing 2B's character, and Velvet is not easy to sew. I'm just letting you guys know. So, like, I respect people a lot when I see stuff that they've created. I'm like, wow, for instance, I did a leather armor thing, like, a while ago for one of my first cosplays, and I was like, well, I'm never doing leather again, because that's hard, and it also is heavy. So, but like, you learn these things, but you see other people and you see what they've created, and you're like, oh man, that's such a good idea. Or like, I don't know, like, people just come up with like such amazing like pieces of art, and like the time that they put into it and the effort. Like, I not only that, but like also wearing it and like keeping their bobs looking
people
great.
put up
Some
with
of
that
those
stuff.
people, I'm like,
oh yeah.
Where do I
man.
get that 6-pack? Like, I don't know. A lot goes into it, and I just have to like.
I have the ultimate respect for those folks. You know.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the things about like going, because for a lot of years I've been going to the local anime convention Otakon around here in Baltimore, now DC. I just love seeing the people in cosplay, because like, I know I can't make anything like that, but I respect that, and it's like such an interesting aspect of like, you can see these characters, and I like how it's evolved over the years too, you know, and that's I think it's very interesting. But.
Yeah, one of the people in our weekly group, he's got a 3D printer now, and he did unbelievable stuff before just with paper mache. Like, his last was a barbar costume. He did like the full elephant head out of paper mache. Cool. And then he did Dilbert last year too, full head. But now he's 3D printing stuff, and I don't even know what these characters are from some kind of science fiction video games. But he's doing these massive helmets, and it looks, it's really, really amazing.
3D printing has changed the world in many ways. For many things. I mean, even tabletop gaming as a whole, like, you can get all kinds of tokens created now, like on the fly, with it, just like, as long as you have the 3D model and like, you know, some type of material to create it from. And for cosplayers, 3D model. I mean, like, 3D printers are amazing for cosplayers. You can create all kinds of weapons for that, like little pieces that go to your outfit and stuff like that. I mean, you have to sand them down a little bit or something like that, but it just takes a lot of the stress aspect of it. Although I think for me, I still like the creation of things, so I don't necessarily want to 3D print stuff. But there are cases where I definitely am like, okay, well, that would be nice to be able to 3D print. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, one guy released all the stats for all the monsters in 5th edition D&D for a 3D printer, and he just put it up online.
Ooh.
Nice.
To like make minis for every single monster. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we move on to the next topic? So, Andrew, I want to talk a little bit about Kickstarter and tabletop games, because you now run a successful one. And there are so many out there, but, you know, you can give us the rundown on what it's like to be a successful person doing this.
You should link us your Kickstarter first.
Sure. Well, it's done. It's a fully completed Kickstarter. And I should say, first off, like Matt says, we do have one successful one we did, but we also had one unsuccessful one. So the unsuccessful one about a year ago, we didn't have any products made yet for 5th edition. I didn't have much of a footprint. I just come back to D&D really after 30 years away. like Maggie said, college and everything and life. But I came back and was like super just inspired to create. And so the first Kickstarter was unsuccessful. We kind of got a quarter of the way. But now that we have a bunch of products made in the first year, we did another Kickstarter at the beginning of this year. And so we had a better idea of how long it would take to make products. One thing I would say, it helps to have a little bit of a footprint out there already, and to have, as big a network, obviously, with social media as you can get before you do something. And then a lot of people say, listen to what other people say and get advice. And I think that's important. But I think if you only do that, you're never going to actually get anything done. So I would say in a lot of ways, one of the biggest things is really just getting it done and doing what you want to do and do something. Like there's a lot of people out there with opinions these days, and they want everything to be perfect and expect it to be perfect. I'd say if you keep waiting for that, you're never going to actually create anything.
That's with anything. I think that's good advice for anything. I get people all the time who ask me, like, how did you get into the game industry? And like, what, I want to be a designer, or I want to be a programmer, or I want to do this. And I'm like, well, do it. Like, here's the steps to getting to where you want to go. Figure out where you want to go. Figure out how to get there. Do the steps to get there. And then if you don't get there, reassess why you didn't get there and go back to the start and like keep going. Like I mean, there are going to be struggles. Like everything's not just going to fall into place for you. Like you have to put in effort to get back something. Like,
yeah. And you might fail. Like, last year that it was really it wasn't very successful. And I just knew that I had more work to do, and and I was going to reboot it, a few months later, a year later.
Yep. And see, that's the thing is, like, and I know, like, I have plans in the future for my own stuff because I have a couple board game designs that I've been working on. But I've
been poking you with a stick to finish the one.
I know. I do have to finish. It's the rule book, which I guess I have to go to my friend who's an English major to actually help finish that.
Because English is not your strong suit.
It's not at all. No, I went to college for math, not English. Those are very different. But I think like getting to talk to people, like when I was at PAX South, I got to have like a good 30-minute discussion with one of the guys that was running, like showing off one of the indie games there, and that was one of the better things I think I did down there, was to sort of learn about like what he did and things like that, and that it's not as difficult as it seems. There's like certain things you should do, especially like if you're trying to do this. It's like, I should probably have, you should run it more as a company than more as an individual. You should make sure to play test it. But it's also like, well, what about production? Is that difficult? Well, no. Like he said, he actually was connected with one of the other people that has a way of getting things published and created, and just talk to them. Like, they're willing to help out too, as long as your product's different than theirs. It's a market. And it seems like, people are willing to help each other out to a degree. Granted, you're still giving them money in a way too. So it's like they're not like, they're getting something out of it still, but it's that we have this, you can definitely do it. And I think it was very cool. And, I have all the respect for all those people that are going out there and throwing their things on Kickstarter. And as you said, they're not all successful. Like as you've done 2, and you've only had the 1 successful. And again, it's being prepared for it, I think, is the big thing, definitely. So
I don't think you can always prepare for failure. I think failure happens sometimes based on like the decisions that you make or situations that you happen to be in. So I think like the better thing is when you do fail, don't like. I think a lot of people get into like this depression state of like, well, I'm never going to be able to do it now. You have to kind of like sit back and I know it's really hard. Well, sometimes we can be our own best critics in the sense of like, we'll find all the flaws and things. But you just have to find where did like things go downward, right? And like fix those things and come back stronger and do what you want to still get there. Just find another route. Sometimes you have to take a different path to get there.
Yeah, and I think for Kickstarter, a lot of times people are a bit too, like for role-playing games, I'm only a role-playing D&D guy for the most part. And it's probably true for other kind of Kickstarters, but they're a bit too ambitious in some ways in terms of what is realistic to get done in a certain time period. So for us, like there's quite a few 5th edition Kickstarters out there, but almost all of them are late or they don't get done. And like this person, I won't mention the name or anything, but they keep talking about the different stages that it's at, and it's like months and months and months behind. And so we really tried to be realistic as much as possible and put in, time for contingencies. And I think we were lucky too. We really searched out who the people we were working with. We actually got a printing company in Washington State across the border from Canada. Those were the guys who printed this, the book, which was the main part of the Kickstarter. And I just heard really good things about them from guys that I talked to on Twitter and other social media. And the same with the editor that I worked with. I heard a lot of really good things about the person. And the artist. Art is actually one of the biggest things that is a challenge for people publishing, because it's so hard to find people, and it's so hard to find some kind of reasonable price that you're going to end up making any kind of money. So I have artists all over the world. Like I have one guy in Toronto in Canada as well, one in Wisconsin, not far from you guys, and one in Singapore. And with these 3, I can sort of get enough work and a reasonable rates to get something done.
Cool. All right, why don't we move on, though, to the last topic, because, this is sort of something that's inspiring for you, anybody out there that wants to try it out for themselves. Go ahead, be ready for failure, but, it's always you might get something good out of it, success. It can happen. So last one topic I want to talk about, because Scott's in chat now, and unfortunately, he can't join us with what's going on in his home, unfortunately. So, but he is in chat to bother us. So, we do want to talk about, I still want to talk about, Roll20 a little bit and running and using it, because I've been using it a little bit here, and as soon as I became a player, I realized how little I was using it. That's the kind of thing. And I know, Maggie, now you put together an adventure on Thursday that I was playing in, and you went to the levels that, like, I found really awesome,
Aw, thanks. I'm kind of one of those people who, this can be like a bad thing about me too, is that when I get into something, I just kind of like put all my heart into it, which can be not so good or beneficial. I think in this case it worked out all right. I think Roll20 it's such an amazing tool. It allows people to create campaigns, and you can so you have the option as a DM to like make maps and things like that, or you guys can just use it to have a way to like roll your dice and do that stuff. There's character sheets. There's so many different like levels of depth that you can get into it, depending on how much you want to. You can do it the way I'm guessing Matt has been using it, is more just for the rolling aspect of things, which is totally a great way to do things. But I think like that tool was never really a thing before, right? Like I think. Oh yeah. For me, I love tabletop games, and I just never had the opportunity to play as many in like IRL sessions once I moved away from all my friends in high school. So it was like, I have a hard time finding friends. This is my problem. But I think online, it allows you to like play with all these different types of people. And Roll20 has like a way for you to look for groups, so you can find new players to play with, which I think is really awesome. I think there's a lot of people out there who constantly go, I want to play, but I don't have anyone to play with. I'm like, well, there's tons of looking for group people. It's like, go do that. I want to try DMing. Well, go make a campaign and like look for people. Like it's so easy to like find people to play with now. And I think like that to me is a really amazing tool as like somebody who has been in that position where I didn't have a lot of people to play with. And now I'm so fortunate that I have so many amazing creative people that I can play with. And I all met them through playing games on Roll20. So I think like that to me is really sweet. If you're an artist, there's ways for you to sell your art and create art assets that people can use. And believe me, I spent like $200 on art assets. I got the pro version, and then I also like bought like a bunch of supplement like pieces because I'm like, well, I need some more tomb stuff, and I need like this, and so like I was looking for very specific things, and I had to find. But I was trying to find. I will give you guys this tip: is make a package that like is worth the person's purchase, right? Because I think like some of them were like, I just want this one piece from you, but all the rest are like meh. So I think like that to me was kind of a little bit more difficult. And then there's programmers out there. Their character sheets are like one of the coolest things. Like you can like program all your stuff to like update on time, like whenever you level up, or like making it easy for when you roll. So it has like the description and like the stats and like rolls the damage for you. Like all this stuff is so cool. I will say that I wish that there were more like macro stuff for DMs. I feel like there's a lot of player programmed stuff. So if you're a programmer out there and you want to, get into the scene for Roll20, I think like making more stuff for the DMs would be like something out there that I think would be really cool. But yeah, I think it's such a cool tool. Like I can't say more about it other than that. If you want to play, I guess if you want to do basically what Matt was saying is like, I kind of did a very like map oriented version. So like the players, I basically was like, here's the world, go walk around in it.
So
that is going to take
style.
a lot more time. Yeah. I made it sandbox style. So I basically made an island, and I made every aspect of the island. So wherever they wanted to travel, I made that. I made like the traveling to and from the locations. I made the locations themselves, and they didn't even see all the maps. I made like 30 maps. I'm an addict.
Wow.
Don't judge me.
Wow.
And I love like the little pieces. So I just think that part is going to take you a long time if you want to do that. Unfortunately. So I think if you were somebody who wanted to go that route, you were going to have to put a lot of time and effort into it.
I just like the fact that I could put everybody's character sheets into it, and then they could roll from it, and I could also reference everybody's sheets, and I could
or you can hand handouts, right?
Yeah. I give them a handout. It was like, that was wonderful. It's like, here, have a handout everybody can share, when they translated this book, it's like, here's the translation, everyone can read it, that. As much as I'm not doing like the entire map thing, which I feel like I would want to do at some point, but
once you start,
oh my god,
you're gonna get so into it.
I know that's why I can't do it, because when I was doing my first map, and I had to do it manually because there was nothing for a flying hammerhead ship in Spelljammer, and I was trying to build that by scratch. I'm like, okay, this is taking a long time, I gotta move on, and it's sort of like,
well, that's why for some of those mobs I was like, envision it not like this, envision it like a skeleton with a crown on his head, because I could not find that.
Yes.
I made it like some weird other thing, so I don't know. You do have to use some elements of
you still have to use a little bit of disbelief.
I think you're always going to have to do that in the games to a certain degree, right?
Yeah.
Like I have a ridiculous collection of miniatures here, and I don't have everything, So you can be like, this isn't a hill giant, this is a Fomorian, an Underdark giant. So I think you're always going to be doing that. And if people can't use their imagination, they probably shouldn't be playing a role-playing game.
Yeah. So, I agree. It's the same for tabletop if you're using figurines. I have so many figurines also. I haven't done a lot of tabletop gaming like IRL lately, but I used to do a lot, and so I have a lot of those. And even in that situation, you still have to like have a little moment where you have to use your imagination. But I think Roll20 allows you to do so many cool things. The only thing I wish is, because like as a DM it's a little bit finicky, I wish I could make like a Photoshop sublayers. Because for instance, I made like the tomb dungeon that I made. It had like a trapdoor, that was a mechanic door that they had to like do something to make it open. They had to fill these 3 fountains with different types of materials. And then in another room, the materials were in that room. But the funniest part is one of the fountains was like, it said sanguine life force, which is blood, obviously. Instead of like going and finding those pots, one of the players actually just cut themselves and was like bleeding into the fountain.
Me.
Which was an option. It was his character. Yeah, that's actually.
Oh wow.
I was like,
So
well,
it
well,
was
I
an
think we were-
option to do it that
well,
way.
we were going to technically sacrifice the other character, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna, even though I was playing a female character, I'm gonna man up for this one here.
I mean, and I wanted it to be that way where like they had two options. And actually there was another option where they didn't have to do any of that stuff and open that mechanical door at all. They could have found the trap door that was in the other room and opened that up, and then that would have just taken them to the room that had the orb in it. So it's like I try to like have all these different elements, and I even made it where like when they opened the tomb, like the tomb opened up and stuff like that and animated. And
yeah, like the doors moving
just
was really cool that you had that happen on there. You know, like the doors swinging out and stuff. You know, I liked that. You know, that little like thing on the map. It was like,
the dynamic lighting in their thing is really sweet too. So like people can only see what they can see, so they can like literally move around the board and only see what their character would actually be able to see. So everything else is dark or black or whatever, which is cool.
Though there was the realization that I didn't have my dark vision activated.
Yeah, I thought your character didn't have dark vision. I didn't see it on your character sheet.
Yeah,
That's why
that was fine. It was like, it ended up that I was like, I can't really see anything. And then like, I'm like, maybe it's just like something with the dark vision. And then like, but like the other guy always had the light. So it was like, oh, I'm fine, you know.
Yeah, he like had a flaming sword. So I like made his sword light up, but I made it visible to everybody. So you can make it so a token can only see what they can see. And then you can make a token so that they are protruding light so everyone can see it also.
Wow.
So if someone's holding a torch, you can show that they're holding a torch and everyone in the party can see that.
Wow,
Which is
that's cool.
yeah.
Well, the dynamic lighting is really cool, and that's like something I would love to learn at some point in time. It's like there's
It's really easy. So if you ever, like, you're obviously using the tokens and stuff like that. And actually Delric Master made YouTube videos on it. Super simple play-by-play through how to create it. So I would definitely recommend going over and checking out his YouTube too.
I did want to also talk about the fact that Roll20 allows for more than just D&D. Now we talk about but like the amount of systems on it are insane. They have so many different ones. So like I think you can do Shadowrun on there. Some of the World of Darkness games I've seen on there. Definitely Pathfinder. I don't know about their sheets. I can't guarantee that because I've only played around the sheet for the 5th edition.
The Shadowrun sheets that we use from this one developer is really awesome, and he's very interactive. Like apparently he was watching the show, and I was complaining about something in the Matrix sheet, and he like fixed it for me. So like that's how invested some of these guys are, and that's what I'm saying. Like if you're a programmer and there isn't a character sheet for a game that you want to see a character sheet for, like go make it, man. Because everyone will use it, and your name will get out there, so it's kind of pretty awesome.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, Roll20 is definitely a great tool. I definitely recommend it. Okay. So before I move on to the last thing, because definitely we have, I do want to do stories from the table and discussing tablet. I know, Andrew, you do have to get going.
Hi,
I lost your
Andrew.
video. Andrew, still there or?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I have to go because with my my little daughter.
Okay.
So-
Well, why don't you just give yourself give support for yourself, you know, kind of pimp out yourself, so to say.
Go follow him. He's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, you can. Thanks. You can check my Twitter is Kwood Published or Kwood Published, and Instagram Kwood Publishing. That's kind of my new place that's taken off. I can't believe how busy Instagram is, and then our main website is World of Mir, myrr.com. So yeah, check out our campaign world adventures, Dungeon Master handbooks, 16 products so far, and more to come. So yeah, and it was nice to meet Maggie. I hadn't met her before.
Yeah,
To
it was
check
great
out
meeting
your
you as
shows.
well.
Yeah,
This is my
thanks,
first
guys.
time meeting you, so appreciate it.
Cool.
I'll
Thanks. And I
definitely
have
give
to
you
go.
a foul and see you around.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks, Matt. And I have to go look after the little one now.
Always understandable. Yep.
Take care.
Yep.
All right,
Thanks.
take care, guys.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah. Bye,
I,
Joe.
I will probably have to adjust the video in a second, but
Okay.
as soon as why don't we get started with I do like a segment where I have guests or us discuss stories from the gaming table effectively. And it can be any kind of story from, as I say, it could be from a role-playing game, it could be from this epic session you had of a board game, to even like for people that do Magic the Gathering, when I have them on, like this awesome deck or this awesome game that they had with it. So and I love to have new guests share their stories in particular, and I'm going to have to adjust that video in a second here as soon as we start. So everybody, the video will be fixed in a second. Don't worry. I will adjust it. I will make it that everyone is visible again. But I do like new guests to basically share anything they want. Whenever we get a bunch of returning guests, I'll usually come up with a topic, but since we have you on now, Maggie, as a new guest, any kind of story you want to share, go ahead.
A story? Do you mean just like an experience in a game, or
it could
like
be like
what?
a cool character, something that happened in a game, anything like that. Anything that's like from your gaming table that you thought
There's
was
so
really
many though. Like, how do I choose one thing?
I know, that's the problem. Is like that's why it encourages guests to return. That they could hear more stories.
What kind of story do you want to hear? Let's start with that. And then I can kind of provide something.
How about we go stick with like either a role-playing game story, just something from something that happened with a character of yours, or like a cool game you were in, one that's memorable.
Something cool that happened to one of my characters that's super memorable. Talk about Grommen. Grommen is definitely a fun character, that's for sure. He's probably one of the most fun characters that I've gotten to play, probably because he's just such a strange... It's very different for me because I don't normally play like large, dumb, brute characters, but that's what I'm playing with him. Although his progression is becoming more interesting as he's getting into magic and learning about that, because the party around him has been utilizing that stuff, and he's found an affinity towards like animals, so which is really interesting.
The eagle is wonderful.
Yeah, the eagle's wonderful, but he's gone. Where is he? I don't know.
Grommen eagle. Oh no.
I guess I'm trying to think of like the most memorable character, and I always go back to my druid from my high school campaign, probably because we played for so long and we got to like level 21. Well, some of us weren't the same level. Some people were like 19, some people were 22, because the DM actually gave experience based on like role playing and like doing things in the game. So like it kind of promoted you to like make actions and do the right thing, or do the thing that your character would do. So I think that was really neat. Also, depending on what you killed, you got more experience and stuff like that. So, what was the most memorable, though? It's so hard to... I just... this is so much pressure on me. I guess the most memorable situation, it's not necessarily something that happened to my character, but just something that happened to our party, because we had 13 people, and at some point we had to let go of somebody because they were like, I can't play anymore. Like, I'm, like, what was happening is like a lot of people were going to college or doing all these things, and this was like the first person to leave. And then like everyone else was around the same age, so we were all like, okay, well, we're going to still play together, and then we all broke up at the same time. But this one person had to leave earlier because he was older than us. And I don't know. We had like this deck of many cards type of thing, and he ended up like playing with it, and it turned him into a bear. This part is the weirdest part because I was like a bear druid. So like I had 2 dire bears, and I could turn into a dire bear at this point. Because like we're like super high level, right? And also we were playing like a combination of like 2.0 and 3.5 mixed together. So like we were pretty OP. Like there's a lot of things you can do. We were using supplements and stuff like that too. And so we had to like get rid of him, but he turned into a bear. And then I was like, for some reason we just decided, because like the DM was like, no, I don't want you to have another bear. That would be OP. So we like just let him go into the forest and ran off. Like the story was that he couldn't understand me no matter what, like because he was magically changed, like my speaking with animals didn't work. Okay. So like that's how they like made it, the path of like, oh, you can't be his companion anymore. And I was like, it was just really weird. It was like this weird moment where we're just like, bye friend, and then we're all just like waving, and it's just a bear going off into the forest. Like I'm like, I don't know why, but that's always like a really memorable moment for me because I'm like, this is so strange. It's just like a real strange situation to be in, to like lose a party member that you've been playing with for like 2 years, and like you're just like, bye, you're a bear now, and we can't be friends.
I'm gonna walk into the sunset now.
Like we just battled for 2 years together, which in game time was like probably like 30, 40 years, and now you're just bye.
It's just like walks off. It's like Incredible Hulk walks off into the sunset. You just have the sad music playing, you know. Oh my god.
Also, I'm a bear druid. Like it just made no sense. Like it was like,
Oh.
what is happening?
Oh god.
I like to imagine that later on he gets changed back and he's just like, what the fuck?
It's like off in a wood somewhere or somewhere deep. Like, no,
Maybe he just couldn't bear being with the party anymore.
Oh. Bum, bum.
Oh.
That was barely a joke.
That was almost unbearable.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's a better option. Mine was worse.
Oh god.
Mine was the worst, I'll
Oh
admit
my
it.
god.
But I was going for bad.
Hey Joe, guess what we just did?
Go off on an animal tangent?
Go off on an animal tangent!
Woo! Animal tangent for the week!
Somehow, always some kind of animal comes up every week, and I don't know
At least
how.
it wasn't a cat.
It's just such a strange thing that I don't know why, but it's like one of the most memorable things for me. Obviously, there are more memorable things, but
Oh,
I'm just
yeah.
like, it's
Oh.
so odd.
Yeah. No, that's actually a really great story, though, of, like, the random character. Like, just, he gets changed, and then he just goes off in the woods forever. You know, it's just... there is a level to that I could definitely understand.
Well, he was like a really dumb character who was, he had like -3 int or something. Like, he was just like, he kept finding ways, like, in combat to end up with less int somehow. And then, like, he was just pouring all of it into strength and stuff. And he was really, like, he's more of, like, a fighter type of character. So he was, like, super intimidating. And so when he changed, he became, like, an angry bear, you know? And so, like, and there was no way for us to calm him down. Like, we tried animal handling. We tried, like, all kinds of things. And, like, the DM was obviously not letting us keep the bear.
No.
And so... I don't know. That's what happened.
Because it's
We
probably
just,
like
put
epic
him in a
bear
cage
dude,
and let him
you know?
go.
Yeah.
It's so
It was
weird.
like the 3.0 legendary animals. He was a legendary bear, you know? It's like, so it's like, you don't want to mess with that bear. Nope. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a black-brown bear.
Oh god. We said that story like 3 times now, and yes. And it's
I'm
your
just saying.
favorite mistake, and I know it.
Yes.
It's the long story short, it's the mistake where he basically took the statistics of a black bear, but he accidentally looked at the hit points of a brown bear when he was writing them out, short notes from the book. So we were just attacking this bear, and it never died.
And it couldn't hurt them.
No, it couldn't.
Oh my gosh. That's pretty good.
Yep. All right,
Oh,
so
them bears.
oh, those bears. I do want to move on to our last segment for the day, which I call Gaming Sage Advice, where I look to either the audience or one of our guests if they have some kind of question that relates to the tabletop world that's basically good advice for people that we want to answer. And, if you have anybody in chat has one, just please let me know. Or Maggie, if you have one, we can go from there. Or I can put one. I have an idea of one that I can put together.
Oh yeah, you put together. I don't have a question. You go ahead.
Well, let's see if chat has anything. Chat, do you have anything for us, or?
Well, you answer your question, and then they'll have their question in chat, and we'll.
What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
No, why do people always do that?
Because Joe always looks to Monty Python. It's his first thing. It's one of those things. He does.
I love British humor. What can I say?
I know, and Ollie's not here anymore
Oh, you
to
do.
reassure me. He had to go, so. African
Aw.
European. Yeah, he had to run. Ollie had to run. Okay. So I actually had something that was related to what we were talking about with the Kickstarter. Is what kind of process do you think you would go about if you want something to be provided to the world? When if you're making something related to tabletop and you want to share it, because the fact is there are a lot of things out there that we can talk about, and we have talked about some of them, but there are definitely other ones that maybe people don't know about that, giving a little discussion on that I think will help them point them in some good directions. So Do either of you want to start out? Because I have an idea of where I want to start out with. Any kind of suggestions for this one? This is a very interesting one that we...
Sorry, I was reading chat.
Getting distracted by chat?
Yes.
Joe's like, can you repeat the question?
Scott, stop distracting Joe. I blame Scott.
Shinies.
All right, okay. Kickstarter is one source of ways that people can put out their products or the things they want to publish to the world or share with the world. What's some other ways that you think could possibly share what we can add suggestions for folks to do? Ooh. Now, I'll start out, though, just to make it a little easier. I think the DM's Guild for D&D is a very great place to go to. I don't know the exact systems, but I know you can sort of publish stuff on there, and you could possibly, like, get money from it. And the fact is that's a very good depository for information for 5th edition than if you're specifically doing stuff for that. So if you want to look to that, that's a great one to go to. And this is what we talked about Kickstarter, that if you wanted to try to Kickstarter something, you could. And this is, it's also levels of publishing. Kickstarter might be more, I want to, like, sell a book to the world. DM's Guild might be more, I have something I created. Maybe someone will want to throw me a couple of bucks towards it kind of thing, Joe, have you heard of any?
I mean, you could go more grassroots and go to your local gaming stores and see, if you have a small publisher already and say, hey, would you be interested in trying to, test sell a new product?
That's always a good one.
I think that would be one. And then you can also play test and also going around the local gaming stores and play testing it.
Yes. If you want to sort of like more self-publish then and use that as a grassroots way of doing it, that would definitely be a way. That might be good for card games or board games, I think, a lot. Though I'm sure like RPG products might not be bad with that too, especially if it's a store that runs RPGs, because there are those that do.
Yeah, it might be a way also for you to get the play testing bugs out of it before trying to do a Kickstarter or something.
Yeah, that's definitely a good reason to do it. Maggie, do you have anything on this one?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that you can go about this. I mean, obviously, you guys have listed out alternatives. But I think that one of the things that happens often is even if you do, like, you can self-publish anything on the internet pretty much at this point, and you can get books created pretty easily. Obviously, if you want like a big publisher to publish you, that's going to take a little bit more effort and networking. Right. But I think like those are all things that people are aware of. I think Kickstarter is an option, things like that. But I think where people sometimes don't get involved in is after that, like once you have the product, right? I think a lot of the times you just have to get your thing out there. So even if you create something and you just have a website and you have a way for people to donate on there, maybe you started even at $1 and like oftentimes people are much more generous than you think they will be. I think that like getting your game out to some of like the bigger RPG groups is going to be helpful because those people are going to give you some notoriety. They're going to get other people to be like, oh, what's this game that you're working on? I think like that's how a lot of my friends have gotten their games, heard of if they weren't already big, is through other word of mouth and through people and through streams and through YouTube content and stuff like that. So I think finding a good marketing plan for yourself in that regard is going to be helpful. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, cool. All right, so thanks, Scott. All right, Scott's got a lot of them here that he keeps throwing out, so
we have weeks worth now.
We have weeks worth now. His entire thing is like making a character the first thing you do. I usually I'll come up with a core concept and then do some stats usually based on that concept.
Yeah, I kind of figure out race and class and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. I always like knowing what the base of the world is going to be, and then the character, the other people in the party is, because I like to round it out. But I think that if I don't have that information, I definitely like looking at my race and my class, and then kind of rolling to see the stats, and that's where I get my personality and stuff from. Because I'm like, okay, now here's the stats that I have to work with. What am I gonna? Like, that's how Grommet was created, right? I'm like, I knew I wanted to be a half-orc. I knew I wanted to be kind of like a barbarian creature. And so like that's where I went, and then I rolled and I was like, wow, I'm real stupid. So how am I gonna play this out? And like I was like, okay, why is he like this? And so that's how his background story has him, where he got like magically damaged, and now he has that scar on his face, and so like he's like, it added like depth based on like the stats that I had, and that's kind of something that I always like utilizing. So,
All right, so we have a couple more short ones from Scott. Now, damn it, Scott! All right. Ideal campaign length and party size. How about that one? How about we can talk about that? I like 4 players, but I can deal with more than 4. I can deal with less than 4. Campaign length, I usually look to a number of levels. I basically say I never mind trying to go to a 20th level campaign, but they're really hard to do. Just me, you know. So normally I try to go in for like maybe 5 or so levels.
I'd say 4 to 6 players is a good size. Anything more than that, you're starting to step on each other's toes. And length, that all depends on the campaign you're looking to do and how much time you and your players have to dedicate to it.
Yeah, I think for me it is. I really like 3 players and 1 DM. I find that like that's a really good dynamic. 4 players can work too. I mean, obviously most of the campaigns that I'm in right now are all 4 players. But I think the reason why I like 3 players is because then everyone gets like enough time in the spotlight, so to say, you know, because like I think sometimes like when you have too many players, it gets to the point where like you're just sitting around and not doing anything. And with 3 players, I feel like everyone, even the DM, has like a lot going on, and you guys all get a little bit more time to like progress your characters. But if I'm doing that, I really like the higher end levels. So I'm always a big fan of like starting at level 10 or level 5 and like moving up, depending on how long the campaign's going to be. For instance, and I don't really have a favorite campaign length. I guess I do prefer playing a campaign that's going to last a long time. But nowadays, I think like 4 to 8 weeks is really nice for content scheduling, just because viewers sometimes often like want something new and refreshing, and like I think that swapping the games up and making new characters and stuff is a really easy way to do that as far as like content creation goes. But if it's like offline and it's just for funsies, for sure, like going as long as we can forever would be amazing. Like I think those are the most memorable campaigns that you're going to be in. You have so many stories, right?
Yeah, I know, like, I usually come up with, like, an end goal, but I keep liking to add stuff in along the way, you know, sort of like, I know they want to get here. Well, I'm going to add this in. Well, I'm going to add this in. I know our other friend, he's such a writer. He, like, manages to somehow outline things over this massive campaign, and he just adapts it as needed, you know, as we go off on weird tangents.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my most memorable campaigns was with our friend Chad, who... The one pirate campaign we did that lasted a long time, and he actually gave us keychains when we ended it to remember the campaign.
With that game, we also went to 20th level, and then we became gods. So, I mean...
Nice.
Which was awesome.
Yes. We became gods because we accidentally got, like, 5 of them killed, so the divine power had to go somewhere!
Woo! Divine power!
Oh my gosh.
It's like, whoops! Just because our actions totally got the gods destroyed doesn't mean that, oh wait, we're gods now. Hey, we
like blowing up the moon.
We fixed the problem that we created. Fixed the problem.
Oh man, when gods get involved in the realm of like fighting gods, that's always insane. I think that in our campaign, we very rarely, the one that we were doing for the long period of time, the 2.5 year one, we rarely saw any gods come in. I think there was one character who's like super religious, and once in a while he would get something, but like that's because his character was very, very religious, and so I think like a lot of that stuff happened with him, but the rest of us weren't as religious. So I think that I thought it was a good mix of it versus like being overwhelmingly too much about the gods. But I think like it depends on the type of campaign you're playing, right? So. Yeah.
Well, this one was like certain evil gods were trying to basically create the end of the world.
Nice.
And we're fighting amongst each other to do it, and we were trying to stop it.
Damn. Yeah, that's a little bit more intense too.
Mm-hmm.
I played like an evil campaign where shit got real weird.
Yeah. Evil campaigns shit gets real weird.
Yeah, like
We blew
Dark,
up. We accidentally blew up an entire planet in an evil campaign.
Yeah.
In
More children.
the first session.
It was the first session. Our dungeon master had to be like, well, I'm sending you to another plane because you're at the nexus of the destruction. So you're totally on this other plane. You're the only survivors.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. I'm trying to think of. There was another thing that I wanted to mention, and I can't remember what it was now. I'll think of it.
Okay.
It has something to do with gods, right? Because we're talking about gods.
Yes.
I'll remember later in my sleep.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that's pretty good for today. I'll save the rest of Scott's questions for some time in the future. As he pointed out, I probably could save for next time. So thank you once again to, of course, Joe for always being here on my sort of right-hand man. Thank you, Maggie, for being on board and joining us today. Where can everybody find you? And what kind of things do you want to support this week?
Sure. I am at Margaret Crone in all the places. You can find my website, margaretcrone.com, and that has all the links there. But if you want to go to something specifically, I have Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, probably other things, Facebook. I don't know. Figure it out. But I stream on my channel, twitch.tv/MargaretCrone on Wednesdays. I play a new game every week, mostly usually video games, not necessarily tabletop. I do have a tabletop session that I'm going to be working on soon, getting art finished for that. But I do play on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I play at twitch.tv/Last Initiative Show. Tuesdays is D&D, and Thursdays is Edge of the Empire. Although it won't be happening next week. I'll actually be over at Master Delric's or Delric Master's channel doing a one-shot on Wednesday and Thursday. So things are going to be a little bit different. And then on Sundays, I play, if you guys want to tune in tomorrow at noon, I will be over at twitch.tv/roll4, and we're playing Shadowrun. It's super fun. I play a Decker. We're in a really crazy situation. We just had like mad feels happen in the last episode, and it was pretty nuts. So we found a lot of information, and we're going to see where things take us. Moving into a really toxic, radiated, horrible, gross area that we're in right now in the socks. So, yeah. I think that's all I got for the most part.
And of course, Andrew had his stuff, and that kind of supports a little bit of Scott, with Lost Initiative show, since he's technically the DM/GM at both of those shows. So, hey Scott, we're pimping you out a little bit here just by sheer existence.
Oh yeah, Delric and I are going to be PCs together, which we've never been. He's always either been my DM or I've been his DM. So this is the first time we get to play as characters together. And we're both real RPG or like RP heavy, so if you want to come tune into that should be interesting. I am playing a female dwarf cleric, Gadira Redheart. So if you'd like to come hang out and listen to me act like an old lady, there you go.
Yes. Cool. And of course, for me, normal YouTube schedule, channel stuff's going to be uploaded as see. My next stream will be tomorrow. We're actually not going to be overlapping with Maggie's stream this time. Normally we start at 1 p.m., but continual problems with personal schedule for me has to put us to delayed, so we're starting at 4 p.m. So if you want to join us... That is
nice to know, Matt. Thank you.
I thought I texted that you. I thought I told you that already.
Did not.
I'm sorry. I swear I told you that already.
Nope.
What day is that?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
I swear I said that one. I swear I did. But
yeah, we're noon till 4-ish, 4 or 5 p.m.-ish.
Yes.
Because we do our after show also, where for our Patreon subscribers.
So yeah, so we'll be going from 4 to probably 7 then. It'll be my Treasure of the Lost Legion, which is a 5th edition Spelljammer campaign. Which is Joe, Rachel, and Frank. Now Joe has joined us, and
nice.
Yes, Frank.
Oh, Frank. Frank's
yeah,
my community manager.
Oh yeah, and oh man, he fit right in just wonderfully. He got to name my like weird monsters I threw them up against, and it was wonderful.
God. But he keeps calling my gnome a child.
I love it so much. He's like, oh
child.
Don't get yourself in danger, child. You shouldn't go on ahead. Like,
and apparently I'm a clone of myself at the moment. Because
he thought he died. And he's like, he's just a clone now. Oh, I I filled with wonder at the entire
That's
situation.
what happens when you crawl into asteroids. You get cloned, apparently.
Oh, it's crazy stuff is happening as usual, and it's just wonderful.
And we left off at a very interesting point of the three of us and two NPCs about to enter a temple on an air world.
Ooh, that's intense.
Yes.
Yes, bridge that was taking us across retracted, and only a couple of the NPCs that were with us were able to make it across, which are my two favorite NPCs, so I'm happy.
Oh, yeah. The one-legged, one-armed, one-eyed, probably missing a few fingers, halfling named Lucky.
Yes.
Who's
my mentor.
And of course, my favorite always, Lieutenant Reginald Fitzwilliam, the great and powerful gift commander, who once is joined with you again. He's basically a giant hippo guy who loves explosions.
Aww.
Yep.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I mean, who doesn't?
Uh-huh. But when you're like an 8-foot hippo guy, everyone respects you.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I want to help him make explosions.
Oh, Ollie made art for Lieutenant Fitzwilliam. Next time I announce the stream tomorrow, I gotta like include it in there because he's around, just because he's such a wonderful character. He's like out of the ones I threw together for that game, he's like my favorite kind of, just because he's so funny to, play. All right,
and Ollie's amazing at making artwork, so definitely go follow Ollie Rand.
Oh yeah, just Ollie,
He pumps that shit out like super fast. Too.
Oh my God!
Like,
It's like Thursday's show. It's sort of like by like the first break, he had like a piece of art of all our characters. It's like, well, that's wow.
Talent. Hashtag talent.
Yeah, hashtag
That's
talent.
what that is.
Our nice and kind of clean backgrounds here were actually provided by Ollie. So yes, definitely follow him, and he does some great works. You can see it's nice. Got like very good wood texture and stuff he did, and cool things.
I'm not gonna go there.
Yes, nice wood, Ollie.
Joe went there. Of course he did.
You have some nice wood, Ollie. I like it. That's where I was gonna go, but I was like, this is not appropriate.
I completely will go there.
When you have Joe around, he always goes there. He can't stop himself. But anyway,
he likes the wood.
He likes the. All right, okay. We could go on all day. Why don't we end it here? I hope everybody had a great time. I'm hoping, Maggie, you can join us again someday in the future.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just let me know. Saturdays are pretty free for me, so unless something else comes up, so.
Cool, I've been trying to plan in advance. Maybe we can throw something together at some point, definitely. Maybe.
I want to finish that campaign that we did, so hopefully we can.
Yeah, I would love to finish that.
I would love to see what you guys do with the skull, and if you guys, yeah.
I want to finish the other one with Scott too.
That one was good too. I think we definitely want to do that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everybody. I hope you had a great time. Enjoyed the show, and we'll be here next week. The only guest that I think I do want to announce two of the guests ahead of time. I have to check in just to make sure everything's still good during the week. But right now, I'm planning to have Amy Vorpal, who was on Geek and Sundry, who works there. She's going to be on with Jason Charles Miller, her writer. They're going to help talk to us about the fact that she wrote she made an album about Dungeons & Dragons.
That's so cool.
Yes. So I think that's going to be a very fun one. And I also have, where is his name? I don't remember his actual name, but he does stuff online as the Orchestra Librarian for like random like weird Magic the Gathering stuff. He comes up with little storylines and stuff too, so he'll be on if we have any good Magic news or just to help us with really funny comments to break the to help distract us because we're gonna need it.
Very cool.
Oh yes, so it's gonna be a fun one next week, so I hope you can join us then, and otherwise I hope everybody has a great day. You can definitely check out Maggie tomorrow, hopefully us. I will have my next gaming stream Sunday night at some point in time because, hey, I do that. But anyway, bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.